So I reckon we've finally arrived at that crossroads, you know. Are we manufacturer relevant or are we sports and entertainment? And whilst they're not mutually exclusive, I actually pleasingly think we're finally arriving at we're probably more sports and entertainment, but we've got some manufacturer relevance piggybacking along for the ride. The cost of competition, which has been through the roof for many years. It's the nature of our game. Think about it. You compete every few weeks and you go and do it in front of the public, and then you come back and you research and you develop and you change and you build and you develop further your race car to take it out 2 weeks later and race it again. The cost of that is through the moon, and that's got to stop, and that's what Gen 3 seeks to do. Let me give you an example. So here is a front upright. Sits on the front of the vehicle there, basically holds the brake caliper on here, holds the front wheel on, attaches the suspension to it. A real key component of the race car. Now, because it's not completely controlled, some of the elements in terms of where you can bolt things on are roughly controlled, but because it's not completely controlled, it becomes a development item. Now, this particular one here might be version 345, maybe version 6 here at 888 Race Engineering. They're extremely expensive. I mean, have a look at that. What a beautiful piece of engineering, right? Now, they'll redevelop this front upright just to change a little bit of caster trail, a little bit of geometry on the front, a bit of adjustability. And then if you're a team down the pit lane and you know that's going on, well, you've got to have it too, so you spend the money. And then it's got to have a couple of wishbones connected to it, because they'll be different now, to go in and put on the front of the car. You need one for both sides of the car, then you need a set of spares, and then you need it for both cars, etc. Now, a set of these and the suspension to go with it might be $30, $40, $50, $60,000 a set, complete with all the goodies on there. And they develop them over and over and over again. Well, that has got to stop, because if you apply that logic to all the parts on the car that are free components, free to develop, well, you can see the arms race of cost that goes on. Now, none of that makes the show better for you at home, doesn't put more bums on seats.
What we will be doing, we'll be having pure race teams. You don't need to be the world's biggest manufacturer with 50 people at your factory. We want racers and race teams. It's about removing the barriers of entry. So that could be for a manufacturer, could be for a team. You know, we've got some great teams in our Super 2 feeder series. We want to see them come in.
Where we go to now with Gen 3, which is really exciting, here's a new front upright. One single milled, CNC milled front upright out of a solid bit of aluminium billet, exactly the same for the Camaro, the Mustang. One price for everyone down the pit lane, one variant, never to be changed. I reckon that's brilliant. And it gets better, because what comes with it then? Wishbones. So here's a control wishbone for Gen 3. One variant, same for everyone. I can tell you straight away, it's very robust, it's a little heavier, made to bang wheels. And what's really good? That's exactly where we're going as a category with Gen 3. So on this car, and we'll show you a lot of them, is parts are going to be built to a specification, a common specification up and down the pit lane across both manufacturers, so the spending can stop.
Underneath this car, the chassis is the same for everybody. Everyone's got exactly the same kit. It's all been designed to exactly the same set of rules, the same CAD drawing, the same information, so everyone's got that same thing.
And what you can do is spend then money in other areas, good people, better people, a bigger truck, whatever you need to have, better pit equipment. But what you won't be doing is endlessly designing and developing parts for cars to find tiny little fragments of speed or potential speed, or maybe none at all. It's a really important part of it.
So the upright that's on the car now will be the upright that's on the car in 3 years' time. We used to spend $1 million for 2 cars on engines. This is going to be a fifth or a quarter of that.
But equally important, this is still motorsport, the art of motorsport, the game of motorsport. So what supercars have done is left a lot of adjustability, or built a lot of adjustability into the cars. So the things that still allow teams to go fast and slow and the cream to still rise to the top will absolutely happen, but without the money being spent in unnecessary areas.
The people will become a big part, the driver will become a big part, the chief engineer, the crew chief.
So think about it, when you send a car out on a racetrack, starting with tyre pressures, cambers, casters, wheel alignment, spring, shock absorber adjustments, blanking on the car, ride heights, pitch, rake, it goes on and on. Strategy, the driver. So there's a million ways to get yourself lost without having to spend all of that development money where you don't need it.
The energy is going to move a little bit. It's going to be about race teams as opposed to manufacturers and designers.